topic is preparation of acids and preparation of bases. We are going to study preparation of acids and preparation of bases in a comparative manner. Means we will study both preparation of acids as well as bases. So first method of preparation of acids is from non-metals. Acids, we all know that acids have an important component as non-metals. So if we react, means we all know that acids contain hydrogen and non-metal. Acids contains hydrogen and non-metal. Therefore, acids can be easily prepared by treating hydrogen and non-metals. So I will write an example. For this reaction, I will write a general reaction first. General reaction, and from the general reaction you can easily write the chemical reaction. The general reaction for this is hydrogen is treated with non-metal. It produces an acid, but this acid is strictly an hydracid, means acid which contain hydrogen and non-metal, means oxyacids. We have studied what are hydracids and what are oxyacids. Hydracids can only be prepared by this method and oxyacids cannot be prepared by this method. So I will take an example. Hydrogen, if treated with chlorine, the reaction between them takes place and formation of HCl occurs. But in this reaction, sunlight acts as a catalyst. Sunlight acts as a catalyst. This reaction takes place in diffuse sunlight, means not direct sunlight. Diffuse sunlight is required for this reaction. Another reaction is hydrogen. Another example of this reaction is hydrogen. If treated with iodine, it produces hydroiodic acid. This is also an example of this reaction. Now we will see preparation of base by similar method. The first method of preparation of base is from metals. Means if metals are treated with oxygen or if metals are burnt, then they produce bases. For example, if sodium is burnt in presence of oxygen, it produces sodium oxide, which is a base. If potassium is burnt, it produces potassium oxide, which is also a base. I will write a general reaction for this reaction also. Metal plus oxygen gives metal oxide, which is basic in nature. So this reaction can be used as a preparation of bases. This reaction can be used as a for the preparation of bases. The second reaction used for the preparation of acids is reaction of non-metallic oxides with water. We have studied this reaction when we have defined acids and bases. So we all know that when non-metals are burned, they produce non-metallic oxide, and if these non-metallic oxides are dissolved in water or treated with water, they produce respective acids. And in this reaction, mainly oxyacids are produced. I write this reaction. First I will write general reaction for this reaction. The general reaction is like this. Non-metallic oxides react with water gives oxyacids. So this is the general reaction for this reaction, and we can use many non-metallic oxides. Suppose I use carbon dioxide. If I treat carbon dioxide with water, it produces H2CO3, which is called as carbonic acid. If I treat sulfur trioxide with water, it produces H2SO4, which is also called as sulfuric acid. If I treat nitrogen dioxide with water, it produces HNO3, which is nitric acid. If I treat nitric oxide with water, it produces HNO2, which is called as nitrous acid. So there are many acids which can be prepared by non-metallic oxide, by treating non-metallic oxides with water. So this is the second way of preparation of acids. Now we will see another way or second way of preparation of bases. The reaction of preparation of bases is analogous to the preparation of acids. In the preparation of acids, we have used non-metallic oxide and we have treated non-metallic oxide with water to produce oxyacids. In this reaction, we are going to use metallic oxide to produce bases. We all know that acids are prepared from non-metals and bases have to be prepared from metals. So in this reaction we have used non-metallic oxide to prepare acid. So to prepare base we have to use metallic oxide. So in this reaction I am writing, I'm directly writing general reaction. The general reaction will be like this: metallic oxide when treated with water, or when metallic oxides are dissolved in water, they produce respective bases, or I will write them as metallic hydroxides, which are basic in nature. So metallic oxide, I will take an example: sodium oxide. If I have sodium oxide, the formula for sodium oxide is Na2O, and if sodium oxide is treated with water, it will produce sodium hydroxide. And you can write similar reactions with calcium oxide or potassium oxide or even magnesium oxide. You can write the reactions with these oxides. These oxides will react with water to produce respective hydroxides, which are basic in nature. In this way, this is the second way of preparation of. The next method of preparation of acid is preparation of more volatile acid from less volatile acid and a salt of more volatile acid. For this purpose, we have to first understand what is more volatile acid and what is less volatile acid. It means what is the volatility of an acid. I am writing three acids: HNO3, HCl and H2SO4, and I am writing their boiling point, means at what temperature they will get converted into gaseous state. HNO3 has a boiling point of around 87 degrees Celsius, HCl has a boiling point of 109 degrees Celsius, and H2SO4, that is sulfuric acid, has a boiling point of around 337 degrees Celsius. This means that HNO3 and HCl will very quickly get evaporated or will quickly get converted into gaseous state, but H2SO4 will not easily get converted into gaseous state. And how easily how easily a substance gets converted into gaseous state is its volatility. So obviously we know that HNO3 will quickly get converted into gaseous state, therefore it is a more volatile acid. HCl is also a more volatile acid as it gets converted very quickly into gaseous state, and H2SO4 has a very high boiling point, therefore it do not get easily converted into gaseous state, and therefore it is a more volatile acid. So now we know what is a less volatile acid and what is more volatile acid. So in this method we can prepare only more volatile acids. So therefore we get to know that we can only prepare HNO3 and HCl, and we cannot prepare H2SO4 by using this method. So we will see how we can prepare HNO3 and HCl by using this method. So now we will again read the sentence: preparation of more volatile acids from less volatile acid and a salt of more volatile acid. I am writing a general reaction. So we are preparing from less volatile acid. So we will prepare by I am writing as a less volatile acid. Less volatile acid, and I have to put in a salt of more volatile acid. And this will give you a more volatile acid. This will give you a more volatile acid. And now I will take an example. So we all know that less volatile acid is H2SO4. So I'm using H2SO4. I have to prepare a more volatile acid. Suppose I have to prepare HCl. In this reaction, I have to prepare HCl. To prepare HCl, I will require the salt of HCl, means a salt which contains chlorine. So I'm using NaCl. NaCl can be considered as salt of HCl because it contains chlorine. Now, if I treat both these substances, a reaction will take place and formation of HCl will occur. This hydrogen will go with this Cl and this sodium will react with SO4 group and will produce Na2SO4. In this way, this reaction will take place and formation of a required acid will occur. This reaction is very important. Now we will see the same reaction for HNO3. For HNO3, I will use same less volatile acid, that is H2SO4, but I have to use salt of more volatile acid, and here I have to prepare HNO3. Therefore, I will require a salt which contains NO3 group, and I will use NaNO3, sodium nitrate. Here I have used sodium nitrate because it contains NO3 group. The reaction will take place and formation of HNO3 will take place, and along with it Na2SO4 will also get formed. So in this way we can prepare HNO3. This reaction is very important because many preparation reactions which you are going to see in the next chapters are based on this general reaction or this method. Now we will see the analogous reaction for the preparation of base. The reaction which is very similar to this, but in place of acids we are going to prepare bases. So I am reading the title, the preparation of weak base from a strong base and a salt of weak base. So we all know what is a weak base and a strong base. I am writing an example of strong base. We all know that NaOH is a very strong base. Here we have to prepare a weak base, and suppose we have to prepare NH4OH, which is a weak base. Here we are going to prepare NH4OH, which is a weak base, from a strong base, which is NaOH. And for that purpose, a strong base is to be treated with a salt of weak base, means we require a salt of NH4OH, a salt which is made up of NH4OH. So I am using a salt which contains NH4, which is NH4Cl, which is also called as ammonium chloride. If I treat ammonium chloride with ammonium hydroxide, now see, this is a strong base and I am treating a strong base with a salt of weak base. This is a salt of weak base, salt of ammonium. If we treat formation of a weak base, which is NH4OH, will take place, and along with it another salt which is NaCl will form. So in this way we have seen the third and the last way of preparation of acids and bases. Start. Now the next topic is properties of acids and properties of bases. First we will see physical properties of acids as well as bases. The first physical property is taste. We all know that acids have a sour taste, whereas bases have a bitter taste. The next next physical property of acid is corrosiveness. I will call it corrosiveness. Acids are highly corrosive. Mainly the mineral acid, means hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acids are highly corrosive acids. Means if we put these acids on any of the metal, they will corrode the metal or they will react with metals and form respective salts of the metal. The next properties of acids as well as bases is they are reactive to the indicators. Indicators are basically the substances which are used to identify whether the substance is acidic or basic. But this can be considered as a physical properties of acids and bases, that they react to the indicators or they show respective color changes to the acids as well as bases. Now we will see chemical properties, but chemical properties are not not given in the detail in this chapter, because we are going to study hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid in detail. So reactions or the chemical properties of acids will be covered in detail in those chapters. But one important reaction associated with acids as well as bases is neutralization reaction, and that is the important part of the chemical properties of acids and bases. And we all know the neutralization reaction. The neutralization reaction is acid react with base to form salt plus water. I'm not even writing it on the board because we have studied it from this, I think, 7th standard. So I'm skipping the part of the neutralization. Now we will study the mechanism of neutralization. We all know that acids, the definition of acids, that acid contain H plus. So I am writing an acid H plus and A minus. This is an acid. This is not any particular acid but a general definition of acid. H plus is hydrogen and A minus is any other non-metallic radical, non-metallic or any other anion. When acids react with bases, I can write bases as OH minus and B plus. We all know the definition of bases. Bases contain OH minus. Bases contain OH minus radical, but along with OH minus it contains B plus, means any other positive radical or any other cation. And when these react, H plus goes with the OH minus and it forms H2O, that is water, and A minus and B plus react to form B plus A minus, which is a salt. This is the result of the neutralization reaction. An acid react with the base to produce salt and water, and how these things occur are illustrated in this example. Now we will take an example of neutralization reaction. I take an acid HCl. Here HCl contains H plus and Cl minus. Here in place of A minus we have Cl minus. It reacts with any base. I am taking NaOH as a base. We all know that NaOH consists of OH minus and Na plus. Here in place of B plus I have used Na plus. Will react to form H2O, and in place of and Cl and Na will react to form NaCl, which is a common salt or salt. In this way an acid react with the base to form salt and water. This is the mechanism of neutralization reaction. Now we will see. Now we'll turn to the next topic, which is uses of acids as well as bases. There are many acids, and from the textbook I am reading the uses of acids. Boric acid is an example of acid which is used for eye wash. Citric acid is used for food preservation. Oxalic acid used for ink stain remover. Carbonic acid used for flavoring drinks. Tartaric acid used for baking powder. Acetic acid used for cooking. Hydrochloric acid used for pickling of metals. Pickling of metal is a very interesting process. We will see what is pickling of metal. Uses of acids, and we have seen many uses, but one of the use is pickling of metals. This process is done when any of the metal is to be colored. When we have to color a piece of a metal, many a times there is a thin layer of rust over metal such as iron. This removing of this layer of rust is called as pickling of metal. For that purpose, the metal piece is dipped into dilute hydrochloric acid for some time. If this metal piece is dipped into dilute hydrochloric acid for some time, the covering of the rust over the piece of the metal get removed, and this process is called as pickling of metals. And after pickling, this piece of metal is ready for painting. Now I will read some uses of bases. Sodium hydroxide is a base used for manufacturing of soap. Calcium hydroxide is a base used for manufacturing of bleaching powder. Magnesium hydroxide is a base used as an antacid, and there are many bases which have different uses. Now we will see another topic, which is another interesting topic related to the acids, is acid rain. How does acid rain occur? We have studied acid. We have studied acid rain in earlier standard as a part of ecology. But here we are going to study scientific aspects of the acid rain, means how chemically acid rain occurs. So with the help of some chemical reaction, we are going to see acid rain. The fossil fuel or the petroleum oil which is burnt in the many vehicles or factories contains nitrogen and sulfur as an impurity, means petrol which is burnt in your vehicles contains some amount of nitrogenous substance and sulfur, and when these nitrogen and sulfur is burnt with the petrol, means in your vehicle the petrol is burnt, and along with the petrol this excess nitrogen and sulfur also gets burnt, and it produces nitrogen dioxide and sulfur dioxide as well as sulfur trioxide. These substances, this is the first process involved in the acid rain. Now you have nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide, these gases in our atmosphere. These gases rise upward. These gases rise upward and react with the rainwater or react with the water vapor present in the clouds. React with the water vapors which are present in the clouds and produces respective acid, as nitrogen dioxide produces nitric acid, or sulfur trioxide produces sulfuric acid. Sulfur dioxide produces sulfuric acid. In this way, acid is prepared in the atmosphere, and this acid dissolves with the rainwater. This acid dissolves in the rainwater, and it contaminates the rainwater. And when this rainwater comes down onto the earth, this condition or this phenomena is called as acid rain. And this acid rain is very harmful for our monuments as well as our buildings, as it corrodes the iron which is present in the buildings as well as it is very harmful for the crops, as it reduces the pH of the soil. The next topic, next part is pH of a substance. So I am drawing a scale. The scale will be like this. pH scale starts from 0 and the last point of the pH scale is 14. The midpoint is 7. I have drawn this scale in a slanting manner, and this slanting manner is very interesting. If the pH of a substance, pH stands for power of hydrogen, or the amount of hydrogen ions present in a solution. If the pH level of a substance is between 0 to 7, the pH level of a substance is between 0 to 7, then that substance is considered as acidic. If the pH level is between 7 to 14, then that substance is considered as basic. But it does not stop at this point only, because if the pH, you can see the slant over here, if the pH is very close to 0, if the pH is very close to 0, then the substance is a strong acid. And if the pH is close to the 7 but less than 7, then it is a weak acid. And if the pH of a substance is more than 7 but not very much very higher than 7, then it is considered as weak base. And if pH is very close to 14, then it is considered as strong base. So the next term is indicators. Next term is indicators. Indicators are the substances which are used to identify whether a substance is acidic or basic. We know the basic definition of acids and bases. The acids are the substances which are sour to taste, and bases are the substances which are bitter to taste. But we cannot taste all the substances, and therefore we use indicator to identify whether the substance is acidic or basic. And I am writing names of some indicators. One of the important indicator that you have used is litmus. and I am writing their colors in acids as well as bases. The first one is litmus. The first one is litmus. The second is methyl orange, and the third important indicator is phenolphthalein. The third important indicator is phenolphthalein. Now I will write the colors of respective indicators in acids as well as bases. So by observing the color change, we can identify whether the substance is acidic or basic. So litmus paper or litmus turns red in acid and it turns blue in bases. Methyl orange has a pink color in acids and it turns yellow in bases. Phenolphthalein is colorless in acids and its color is pink in bases. In this way, by using these indicators, we can identify whether a substance is acidic or basic. Along with these indicators, these are simple indicators which only tell us whether the substance is acidic or basic. But there is another important or interesting indicator which is called as universal indicator. I am writing this name. Universal indicator. Universal indicator is a mixture of many indicators, and this indicator does not only tell us whether the substance is acidic or basic, it also tells us the pH of a substance, means whether it is a weak acid, weak base, strong base. It tells us the exact strongness or weakness of the acid with respect to the other acids. Means by using universal indicator we can compare strongness of the acids. Universal indicator comes with a pH strip. Universal indicator along with pH strip is used to identify the pH of a substance. Universal indicator is greenish in color. At pH 7 its color is green. But if we put universal indicator in different solutions or in different substances, it changes in its color, and from the change in color you can identify the pH of a substance. If you can see in this diagram, if we put universal indicator in a substance and the color of the universal indicator turns yellow has a number 5, it means that the substance has a pH value of 5. If the color of a substance turns indigo has a number 11. Therefore the substance has a pH, substance is obviously basic and its pH is around 11. So universal indicator tells us that whether the substance is acidic or basic, as well as it also tells us the pH of a substance. Thank you.